What's up, you guys? This is Jay Young2 back with another video, and today I'm going to be discussing the truth about Ben Simmons. Enjoy. Ben Simmons, man. Ben Simmons is one of the most talked about NBA players, really, for a long time now, obviously. You know, Ben Simmons is a player that has gone through many things in his NBA career, especially when it comes to critics criticizing him, obviously, for his lack of shooting. As we saw last offseason, Ben Simmons was training, and he was shooting threes in practice games, and he was doing all kind of things. He was training really hard on the three-point shot, and we saw all the footage on it, and it looked like, whoa, Ben Simmons, he's actually shooting. Whoa. But obviously, once we got into the season and as games continued, he wasn't really taking that three-point shot. He wasn't really doing those things that we thought he would be doing. But regardless of those things, the Philadelphia 76ers still really haven't truly lived up to their expectations as a team. Personally, in my opinion, the Philadelphia 76ers were supposed to be the best team in the Eastern Conference. Personally, in my opinion, they have the star power, they have the additions to help them compete heavily for an NBA championship. Last year, especially, obviously, was one of their biggest opportunities. Facing up against the Raptors and taking them to 7 games in the Eastern Conference semifinals, they had definitely a close shot. But obviously, losing Jimmy Butler was going to be a pretty big blow for this team. And now, as we see this season, the Philadelphia 76ers are 6th in the Eastern Conference. That is, personally, in my opinion, that's unacceptable. But one of the worst decisions they made was signing Al Horford to that massive contract. And Al Horford is in his 30s. To me, personally, Al Horford is a really good player. He's, especially on the defensive end, he's actually really elite. But Al Horford is not going to help the 76ers out in so many ways. Sure, he could be a pretty good pickup, especially when Joel Embiid comes off the bench sometimes and he's in the game. But still, that's not really one of the best options, in my opinion. Getting Josh Richardson was a pretty good pickup for this team. Adding him, he's a 3-and-D type player. He's a really solid player all around. And of course, they still have Tobias Harris as well. And Tobias Harris, personally, in my opinion, he's a pretty solid piece. But at the same time, he's not really helping out this team to that level either, especially with the expectations that was put on him to succeed this year. But personally, in my opinion, this video is obviously about the man Ben Simmons. You know, so many people over the years have been saying Ben Simmons is going to be one of the best players in NBA history once he adds that three-point shot to his arsenal, especially once it becomes a consistent shot. But the truth is, you know, Ben Simmons, I feel like obviously it's just a mental thing for him. He did make that one three-pointer this season on the corner, and that was obviously a big deal at the time. But it's just something that I don't really think he's not necessarily comfortable with doing, but it's something that he probably views as something that he doesn't really need to do to be impactful for the 76ers, obviously, as a team. Personally, in my opinion, Ben Simmons, he shouldn't be a point guard, obviously. You know, yes, he's a really talented player, and he's a really solid playmaker overall. But in my opinion, personally, Ben Simmons should be at the forward position. And as I've heard of lately, the 76ers are going to be putting Ben Simmons at the forward position once the season starts back again. And some of the things that I feel like Ben Simmons can still improve on is obviously his post play, increasing his free throw percentage, and really just turning over the ball less. Especially last year in the playoffs against the Raptors, a lot of these same things were exposed for Ben Simmons. But obviously, as I said before, Ben Simmons is pretty much an all-around player despite not having the best three-point shot. He can pass the ball really well. He can rebound. He can obviously attack the rim. Well, I mean, he can shoot inside. But really, Ben Simmons, what makes him really special as well is just his defensive versatility. He can guard multiple positions, of course, because of his height and his size. He's so good at defense that possibly one day Ben Simmons could win Defensive Player of the Year. But really for Ben Simmons, it's just that, you know, his offensive game is pretty good, but it hasn't really shown any progress. As I said before, in the offseason, Ben Simmons, his play was obviously looking really good, but obviously that was just practice plays. When you get into the NBA and actual game situations, it's obviously a different story. And for Ben Simmons, his offensive game, really since he was a rookie, it was pretty solid, but it hasn't really improved scoring-wise. His rookie year, he averaged 16 points a game. Next season, he averaged 17, and then he's back around 16.7, 16.8 points a game this year. Ben Simmons hasn't really shown any progress, really. His assist numbers are the same. His rebounding numbers are pretty much the same. His free throw percentage has slightly improved, but it's still really bad. There's many aspects to Ben Simmons' game that makes him one of the most polarizing NBA players to talk about. Because it's so many good things that you want to talk about Ben Simmons, but then again, there's a good amount of bad things you can say about him as well, too. Despite those things, he's still an all-star, and he's helped the 76ers obviously be in the playoffs. But I feel like Ben Simmons' game is really going to thrive if you just surround him with shooters and obviously versatile defenders as well as him. I feel like Joel Embiid is not really the best piece, I feel like, to be on a 76ers team with Ben Simmons. I feel like Ben Simmons' game could take another level if you remove Joel Embiid from the team and add maybe a small forward to that team. It's really hard for me to explain, but these two they don't really mesh together on the basketball court, in my opinion. They're both very talented basketball players. They're both very young still, and they're really both about to be in the midst of their primes. But I just feel like they won't win anything together. But as we all know, they're both locked in on this team, as well as Al Horford, and they have Josh Richardson, Tobias Harris. They're all locked in with this team. So basically, this is their core. The 76ers, just a few years ago, were a talented young team that had a pretty solid bench unit with them. They had a pretty deep roster with other young players on this team. But then obviously, once they had Elton Brand come in to become the general manager, he wanted to win now. And he went out and he got some of the best players to join this Philadelphia 76ers team that he traded for. But it's a lot of uncertainty for the 76ers team. Losing Jimmy Butler, you lost that dog that was on the team. And the 76ers, I don't know if they really have that factor now on their team. I think if this team really has to be successful, you're going to have just a solid scoring option. You need that guy who can just go out and get a bucket. And I feel like Joel Embiid, he is a talented player, and he can definitely go out and get buckets. But you obviously need somebody who can really, really score. I feel like Tobias Harris, like I said before, he has not really been living up to those expectations that was put on him to do that this year. And obviously Ben Simmons' game has stayed the same. But really, I feel like in order for this 76ers team to really, really compete, they're going to have to get rid of Tobias Harris. And getting rid of Al Horford will definitely be a hard move to do, because of that contract is just disgusting. But they will have to get a third option that is a legitimate superstar player who is a scorer. That's why Jimmy Butler was such a big factor on the 76ers team last year. He was one of the best scorers on the roster, and he was that guy who they went to in the clutch. And if you can just add a player to his caliber again on this team, or you can add somebody even better offensively, obviously, then this 76ers team could really then start competing, and then I feel like you would Ben Simmons' game really start taking new heights. But the truth is, I feel like in order for Ben Simmons to be successful, he's going to have shooters around him, and he's going to have obviously good defenders around him, and he's going to have another guy other than Joel Embiid too to really just be that consistent scorer that this team truly needs. And then that's when I feel like Ben Simmons' game could really take it to another level. Or you trade Embiid, which I doubt they would ever do, but you never know. But the truth is, obviously too, that Ben Simmons still has a long career ahead of him, and there's still many things that could be said, but it's still too early to say. Ben Simmons is one of the most polarizing players today in the NBA, but he still has a very, very long road ahead of him. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I hope you enjoy your day. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Peace.